what up? This is Hector. Let's write some Swift. So today we're going to be on HackerRank. We're looking at balanced brackets. Here is the starter code that we get. Here's the method that we start out with, but before we start, let's just return an empty string. And I already ran it, you can see, but what I like to do is before I start reading, I like to look at the code and look at what we're given, and also try to run it and look at the test cases. So here we can see that it looks like it's running 3 test cases at once per test case. So here's 1, 2, 3 inputs. Yeah, so that's what we have so far. These are the brackets. So let's take a look at the challenge. Okay, so balanced brackets. A bracket is considered to be any of the following characters. Okay, so these are the valid brackets. So let's start taking note within here. Okay, so then our valid brackets be these brackets, these, and these. All right, so these are the valid brackets. Okay, let's start reading. 2 brackets are considered to be a matched pair if the end opening bracket occurs to the left of the closing bracket of the exact same type. Yeah, so then what it's saying is that it's matching if this bracket, if the closing bracket and the opening bracket match, or the opening bracket and the closing bracket match, however you want to see it. So let's move on. By the logic, we say sequence bracket is balanced if the following conditions are met. It contains no unmatched bracket. Okay, the subset of brackets enclosed within the confines of a matched pair of brackets is also a matched pair of brackets. Okay, that makes sense. Given an n number of strings of brackets, determine whether each sequence of bracket is balanced. If a string is balanced, return yes. Otherwise, return no. Okay, so we're not. Okay, so we're returning a string value of yes or no. That's our return value. So we want to return yes if it's balanced, which will initially just return yes now. If it's balanced, return yes. Return yes. Else return no. Okay. So initially we're just returning yes. Okay. So let's look at our function description. Okay, so complete the function is balanced in the editor below. It must return a string yes if the sequence is balanced, or no if it is not. Okay, so we're returning yes off the back. Is balanced has the following parameters as string of brackets. So we have a string of brackets. In Swift, dealing with strings, I kind of don't like dealing with strings directly. I usually, if I can, I like to turn them into an array, but we'll see if that's useful. So our input formats, the first line contains a single integer and the number of strings. Each of the next n lines contains a single line. Okay, so that kind of describes the way this test case is working. So we have 3 test cases here, and these are the 3 strings that are being put into the method. Yeah, so we need to output either yes or no, and this is capital yes. Right, so make sure we specify that it's a capital yes, capital letters. Okay, so that takes care of that. So pretty much it looks like, okay, let's look at a valid solution. Let's look at a valid string, valid brackets. Let's look at valid brackets. Anything else? Did we miss anything? Contains no unmatched brackets. the subset of brackets are enclosed within confines of match pair brackets. Okay, so it needs to be, they need to be confined. So we'll take a look at that. So correct version would be this one. Would be this one here. And the wrong version will be this one. And we'll look at those before we start writing in code. It says here, I know it's wrong because here we have the output. This is yes, meaning that it is a balanced bracket. This one say no, saying that it's not a balanced bracket. So let's put that there and let's just look at it. So off the back, like I said, I'm probably gonna make it into an array, right? So this will be an array of characters. So let's just do that right now because I'm pretty sure that's how I'm gonna do it. So let's just say, let's just use a constant for now. S array equals array S, right? And let's just print that out for now. So we won't get any errors. Let's run it. I just like, when we're in HackerRank, I just like to run constantly because it does take a while and I just want to make sure that everything's working properly like you wanted to. And you see here on our first, on the first test case, which is this one right here, we have an array of brackets here. So, okay, so that's how we're gonna deal with our brackets. Gonna use them within an array because we don't really need to use a string for anything. Okay, so here's the explanation. It says that the string meets both criteria for being balanced string, so we print yes. Okay, the string is not balanced because the bracket is enclosed by the matched pair, which is true. Let's see right here. The string meets both criteria for being balanced string, so we print yes. Okay, so off the back, I'm thinking of using a stack, and let's talk about why. All right, so we're gonna have to loop through this array, right? Array of characters because I made it into an array, right? So how do we check? How do we check if it's a balanced bracket, right? That's the problem that we need to solve. Right? How do we check if it's a balanced bracket? So off the back, let's loop through the array, right? So first off, we have just do it like this. So first off, we get the opening bracket, right? So we have an opening bracket. Here, let me do it like this. We have an opening bracket. So that's the first one, right? So we go to the next one, and we have another opening bracket, which is this one. And now we have another opening bracket. And now we have a closing one here, right? So it looks like we're building a stack already, right? And we're just popping onto the stack as we go along. As we find an open bracket, we're popping onto the stack, right? So once we get here to this bracket, we see that it's a closing bracket right here. So then what we should do, well, we could add it to the stack, right? We could add it to the stack, but that doesn't do anything. We're just creating another array. But one thing we can do is actually do a check, right? We can check if this bracket is the inverse bracket of this closing bracket, right? Because if it is, then it's matching and matches, right? So what we can do is we could actually remove the bracket itself from the stack, right? Pop it out. And we can keep going. So now we're here. So now we're here. We already iterated through all those. Oops, so what happened? Yeah, so we're over here. We already iterated through this stack, and now we just iterated to this string, and now we're here at this bracket here. And since we find this closing bracket, we see that the last bracket on the stack happens to be this closing bracket here. So then what we could do is pop it out, right? Pop it out, and now we have one item in our stack, which happens to be the matching closing bracket for that particular item. So yeah, so it's a matching bracket. It passed the test. So let's try that on a wrong one. So we're gonna use a stack again. So beginning with this one here, with this opening, so we have opening bracket, and then we have here another opening bracket, and here we see we have a closing bracket, right? So this closing bracket doesn't match the inverse, its inverse bracket, right? Which will be the opening bracket for this specific bracket. So that's out of the back. You already know this is not a correct. This is not correct bracket. So this is not correct balance bracket. So you can just quit the loop and just say no off the bat. That's it. So you don't have to continue looping through it. And you see here, this is yes, and we've also have an empty stack. So yeah, so that's sort of how we're going to do it. And let's try to write that out. Let's see, so how should we do this? So we have our array, right? So we have our array. You can see it here, our array of characters, I believe they're characters. So what I want to do first is I want to loop through the stack through the array. So let's say for item in S array, for item in S array iterm. For item in S array, what do we want to do? Okay. So the first thing we want to check is, do we have an opening bracket, right? If it's not an opening bracket, it's automatically not balanced. It's not a balanced bracket. They're not valid brackets, right? They're not balanced brackets. See here, like there's no way to have a closing bracket at the beginning and have it match with another bracket. That's impossible. So yeah, I think this algorithm will handle it on its own. We'll check it out, see how that works. So let's get started. First off, let's start by printing the items, right? Let's print the item. Let's print the item for now. Always fine. That's a good step. Let's run the code and we'll start thinking about what to do next. So we want to look for the opening bracket first, right? So we have 3 types of opening brackets. See here, it prints out brackets. So we have 3 types of brackets, right? So we have 3 types, and they each have an inverse bracket. So yeah, so let's check for the opening bracket first. So we're going to say if item equals, we're going to say character, because I think they're characters. Character, I want to say it is a character. So if it matches this opening bracket, or item equals character, this bracket, character, this bracket as well. So if we have one of these brackets, we want to actually push that into a stack, right? So what's the problem here? Oh, okay. Forgot to write item equals character. So yeah, so what we want to do here is if we find opening bracket, push it to a stack, right? So this should be standalone. This needs to run every time that we loop through each character. to do a check. But I'm getting another error here. Let's just run it. See what error. Oh, is it equal? So yeah, so now as we continue, we also want to check if we have a closing bracket. So let's do an if statement. So we could also do a switch. We could do a switch on item, right? And then we could say case, and we're looking for character closing bracket, right? And then we're going to say remove inverse from stack, right? So same thing here. The character. Actually, we're going to just copy paste this a couple times. Good. We'll have to do this over and over again. So we have 3 types of closing brackets, right? Did I even get the correct ones? Oops, I think I missed one here. Okay, so now these are the 3 types. I probably do need a default. Let's see if we get an error. Okay, so then what I think we have to do is we have to make this into a character. So we want to say character item. I'm going to convert that into a character. Oh, I think it actually wants me to write code in here. I'll just write a print statement, an empty print statement. Whoops. Okay. See if that did not compile. So what's the error here? Interesting. Okay, so let's remove this. Let's run it again. Okay, so actually, why don't we, okay, let's start by testing this if statement, and we'll print the item. We'll print the item. Oh, it's a string element, which is a string element. Print that out. See if it catches the opening brackets. Yeah, you see here we have the opening brackets printed out. Also printing out. Okay. So it looks like we're printing out the opening brackets only. Perfect. That's what we want. Okay, so now that we're printing out the opening brackets and we're capturing them, let's try to capture the closing brackets. So we're going to write a statement. We're going to save item. We're going to actually Yeah, we're going to say if item it's equal to closing bracket. I wonder, do I need to say character? Let me check that real quick. Kind of just assume that we need to specify character. But I guess not. We don't need to do that. Okay, so that actually makes it a little cleaner. Okay, so we'll get rid of that, and that should be fine. Now we're going to say if item equals character. Oops, yeah, we don't need character. We're going to say if item closing bracket, right? So then we're going to need an else if item equals another closing bracket. So we have 3, so we need one more. So we need to find out when we reach the closing bracket, because we need to check the stack, which we haven't created yet, to make sure that the last item on the stack is the matching bracket, and that pretty much will tell us if it's matching or not, which we'll write. So here now we could capture the closing brackets, right? And we know what bracket we're at specifically because we have this bracket here. So instead of creating a class, a new class for stack, I'm just going to use an array, right? So we're going to say a variable stack. Let's call it my stack equals. We're going to make it into a character array. Would that make sense? Or should I say string array? Let's just stick with strings. String array, right? So we're going to make it empty array, initialize it to empty list. Okay, so now here, when we find a opening bracket, all we want to do is append to my stack. So we're going to say my stack dot append. We're going to just append the item. We're just going to say string item, make sure it gets a string. So yeah, so here now we're keeping count of the stack, right? So what we want to do here is once we find a closing bracket, we want to go into our stack, right, and get the last item. And pretty much if the last item, let's just get the last item first. But if the last item isn't a closing bracket, then we fall back. So if the last item is not a closing bracket, right? So we're gonna say else. We're gonna grab this statement here. We're gonna say else if is not. So if item is not any of these closing brackets, then it's automatic no. Get out of the. Let's get out of here, and it's automatic no because it's already invalid, right? We've reached the first. Like I said before, the first index is not a valid bracket because a balanced bracket has to start with an opening bracket. So then we'll just say, let's create a value for an answer too as well. So that way we could have access to it. Let's say variable answer equals, let's just say yes for now. Yes. Okay. And then we're going to return answer here. So pretty much this method is returning yes at all times, and we could only change it to no once we find out that the brackets are not balanced. So then here we could just say answer equals no, oops, equals no, and then just break. Or actually, let's just return no here. Right, so that takes care of that. So what we want to do now is we want to grab our last item. We want to grab the last item on our stack to check if we have a balanced bracket, right? So I'm thinking of doing that inside the if statement. We'll optimize later. So let's say let last equals s array, stack array, oh, my stack, excuse me. I want to say last. Yeah, last, right? We just want to get the last. And I think this returns an optional, right? Yeah, so pretty much if it crashes, then it's not a balance string. It's not a balanced bracket, but let's see. Yeah, let's just use a cardlet. Oh no, that wouldn't be good. Let's just force on that for now. And we'll see if that breaks any test cases, and we'll adjust. Yeah, so then we'll get our last, and let's print out a string. Let's say last equals item. Let's just check that. Yeah, so let's print that out and let's see what we get. And that's only accounting for this bracket here. Okay, did not like that. Maybe yeah, we'll split these up. So is inverse, right? So let's try running that again. No crash, which is good, but no prints. Okay, so it didn't, it's weird. Okay, so if for some reason we're not finding it, code. Interesting. Oh, I see what's going on. We're returning out immediately. Okay, let's get rid of this and we'll take care of it if we have to. Let's just comment that out for now. Probably don't need that. Okay. Is inverse. Okay. So perfect. So yeah, so you see here we are in the method, but okay, let's see what's going on here. So let's work on this. So pretty much we want to check if item, so if the item is equal to this, we want to check if, okay, so we want to check if the last, so what we want to check if is last, oops, let's say if last equals the closing bracket, right? That means that it's matching, print found matching, right? Matching, and then we want to remove that item. We want to say let's just say we don't want to do anything with the value. Oh, we could print it out, I guess. Let value equals my stack pop last exactly. And there should be, this is forced on after that because there should be a last value. And let's just print that out, but later we're just gonna omit it because we don't want anything. We don't really care about the value. So that takes care of that. So this is what we're gonna do for all the other, this is what we're gonna do for all the other if statements. We also wanna tell it that, like, if it's not, else, answer equals no, and we want to return or break out of the loop. Just break out. And this is what we want to do for all the if statements. So let's just copy paste this because they're just gonna reuse this code. But like I said, we should probably optimize and write a method for this, which we will do. Let's just see if this runs. Okay, so we got a yes, no, and a yeah. Oh, so we have all no's for some reason. Okay, so what's going on here? So let's revert back and let's figure out what's going on. We can start by printing the stack, print my stack as we come in here. Yeah, so it looks like we have a stack of open brackets. Once it gets here, it's not removing it. So let's take this out. I put it in here. Let's run that again. So the last bracket, okay, so yeah, so it does take out the last bracket. Like, it does work. Okay, let's remove this clause here, else statement. Let's see what we get. So pretty much what we want to do is we want to check, right? We want to check the stack. So we want to check the stack to see if we have the inverse bracket. And we're doing that by getting the last item in the stack. And pretty much we want to say if the last item in the stack equals the closing bracket, the opening bracket, which is the inverse bracket. I'm not getting a print statement though. Okay, so let's just finish writing this. I think it's not working because we need to finish writing it. So yeah, let's write a method for this. So we're gonna copy paste. We're gonna copy paste this if statement, just a statement here. We're gonna write a quick method called check inverse, and we're gonna take a array. Yeah, we're gonna take the stack. So we're gonna say my stack has array of strings, right? And then we're going to take another string value called bracket string, and we're going to return a boolean return true. Just return true. Okay, and here we're just going to pretty much rewrite this whole thing. So we're going to get the last item from the stack. We're going to pop the last item from the stack. But we can't, and we're going to declare this to be a mutating. I think we have to declare it here. Mutating string. I think I declared that right. Actually, we won't modify it. We won't modify it in here. We won't modify the array in here, but we will just check, and then we will modify it later. So then we will omit this value, this right here. So then we just really want to check if so really we're just checking the bracket, right? So we're going to say return false. Right, so then this will be and then this would be inverse, right? The inverse bracket. So we're going to say bracket. And here, what we want to do is we just want to call it and say, what did I call it again? Check inverse. Check inverse with my stack. And the closing bracket will be this right here. Then want to make this the check here. Then I want to get rid of this here because I won't be needing it anymore. Okay, now we'll do a new statement if check you go to true, or yeah, it's check. We don't really need to specify. What did I do? Oh yeah, using hex code shortcuts. Oops. So then here we will actually remove this. We'll remove this value from the stack and continue. Else we will set answer to equal to no. To no because it's not a valid solution. And then we pretty much want to do that in every if statement. Check that out. We're still getting invalid. Let's see what's going on here. So we're adding to the stack. But it looks like we never remove. It's not popping it. What's going on here? There's a string element. Does that matter? Let's say string. I don't think it's going inside the if statement for some reason. Because we should be seeing brackets being removed. Oh, I see. Okay, so they need to make sure that these are the appropriate closing brackets. That's a problem with copy and pasting code, that sometimes you miss things. Okay, perfect. Oh, whoa, we passed all the test cases. Wow. Okay, so yeah, so it looks like it worked. So pretty much what we did here is that we'll try to submit the code and see if it actually worked. So what we did here pretty much is that we put all the opening brackets into a stack, right? We use an array for that. And then when we found a closing bracket, we just checked if the last closing bracket matches, it's the inverse bracket. And if it is, then it's appropriate bracket. And then we just pop it from the stack or the array. And if it's not, we just change the answer to no, but we should probably break. But it looks like we didn't pass all the test cases. So let's take a look at that. And they're hidden. That's weird.